You have been deceived, crushed, ridiculed, and overlooked. Yet in spite of everything, you remain alive, unshaken, and present. Life has unveiled its ruthless mask, exposing how quickly loyalty evaporates, how easily promises disintegrate, and how vulnerability attracts predators like sharks to blood. Do not waste your breath cursing the injustice. Do not collapse into endless complaints. Extract wisdom from it. Every scar etched into your skin is not a wound but a scripture. Each humiliation is a hidden curriculum. Each betrayal is a map leading you toward unshakable strength. You are not meant to be sheltered or pitied. You are here to be reforged. The ordinary man begs for sympathy. The uncommon man searches for meaning. The formidable man turns betrayal into his whetstone, sharpening himself until he can slice through lies, deceit, and the invisible chains that once enslaved him. This is not the hour to dwell on the faces that hurt you. This is the hour to sculpt yourself into something beyond what they imagined. Cold, deliberate, precise. This is where you abandon the hunger for recognition and begin to demand reverence. This is the moment where you replace the begging hand with the iron fist. They expected you to collapse in ruin. Instead, you will rise not as the gentle soul they once mocked, but as an untouchable force they can neither bend nor break. Say it and claim it. My agony is the architect of my power. Accept this shift. The world has never been fair and never will be. Existence is a battlefield of illusions, manipulation, and hidden maneuvers. The ones who turned against you understood a brutal truth. You had not yet learned the rules of the game. People are not fixed beings. They are pieces on a moving board. If you refuse to play, you are reduced to nothing more than a pawn. Stop yearning for honor in a landscape built on advantage. Power kneels only before greater power. Betrayal is not devastation, it is data. It reveals who falters under heat, who cannot recognize your worth, and who disguises weakness as loyalty. That information is leverage. Archive it. Exploit it. Do not complain about the serpents slithering in the grass. Study their patterns, dissect their behavior, and when the time comes, strike with greater coldness than they ever imagined. You must evolve from victim into strategist. The fragile react impulsively. The powerful anticipate. Once you stop bleeding emotionally and begin calculating logically, you step into dangerous territory. The territory where you can no longer be controlled. Tear down illusions of eternal brotherhood, perfect loyalty, or unconditional love. These are brittle concepts, easily broken. What must remain unbreakable is your internal fortress. Self-discipline, patience, and the will to wait until your opponent has revealed his hand. A mind trained in ruthless clarity cannot be enslaved. Because it no longer clings to fantasies, it measures reality with precision. This is not bitterness. Bitterness rots. This is lucidity, pure and cold. You are not destined to soothe the world. You are here to command it. You are not here to be remembered as good. You are here to become undeniable, immovable, unforgettable. Betrayal is not the finale of your tale. It is the ignition switch. The sting of treachery sharpened your vision. The fire of humiliation hardened your armor. The ache of being broken carved a deeper hunger within you. So now ask, will you remain prey or will you ascend into the predator they fear? This is the crossroad of transformation. And if you understand this truth, declare it. I am the storm they created, the cold rebirth. Reconstruction begins here. Do not rise as the version they once discarded. Rise as the being they will regret underestimating. Mere survival is insufficient. You must ascend into something elevated, sharpened, ruthless. A mind tempered by treachery becomes a weapon once discipline welds it together. Do not surrender to emotion's traps. Rage consumes itself. Sorrow drowns. But strategy? Strategy builds legacies. From now on, your pain is no longer a cut. It is fuel. Every insult is energy. Every rejection is steel for your spine. Every embarrassment is gasoline on your hunger. To think with a ruthless edge is to accept this. Men are not moved by morality or affection. They are moved by fear, by desire, by dominance. Therefore, your mission is not to be adored. It is to be respected. Respect emerges from scarcity, from distance, from embodying a figure too rare to touch. Withdraw your need for validation and watch how the scales tip. People pursue what they cannot claim. They desire what they cannot possess. They tremble before what they cannot predict. That is the shape you must take, unreachable, unpredictable, untouchable. But coldness without structure self-destructs. Discipline is the iron cage for the fire within. Rise early. Sculpt your body with relentless training. Devour the writings of thinkers who conquered centuries. Machiavelli, Marcus Aurelius Seneca, Forge your will as others forge fortunes, steadily, persistently, without compromise. Your body becomes your shield. Your mind becomes your blade. Your spirit becomes an indestructible citadel. This path is not for the fragile or the comfort seekers. It is for those who have endured hell and now seek to master it. And when the betrayers cross paths with you again, they will not face the shattered man they once left behind. They will encounter a silent storm, sharpened, impenetrable, lethal. You owe them nothing, not forgiveness, not explanation, not even revenge. The ultimate vengeance is transcendence. The moment they realize their betrayal was the very fuel that transformed you into someone beyond their reach. Say it with clarity. I ascend beyond them. Understand the mechanics of power. Perception is the true weapon. People do not respond to your reality. They respond to the aura you project. Dark psychology becomes your invisible ally. Appear composed while the world burns. Project confidence while you are still mapping your strategy. Radiate detachment where others expect desperation. Appearances bend judgment. They cut deeper than blades. It has always been better to inspire fear than to beg for love, because fear endures when love fades. Respect outlives admiration. Construct an aura so deliberate, so refined, that hesitation grips anyone who dares to cross you. Never reveal your full mind. Predictability is surrender. Keep your thoughts layered, your plans encrypted, your emotions unreadable. Speak sparingly, but when you do, let every word strike like a hammer. Silence itself can be more terrifying than rage, for it forces others to face their own weakness. Scarcity creates value. Cut off the habit of oversharing, of over-explaining, of chasing external approval. The less accessible you become, the more priceless you appear. If once they dismissed you as ordinary, evolve into rarity. If once they treated you as replaceable, transform into something essential. Become more than a person, become a force, a symbol. Authority bends human psychology like iron under fire. Posture, tone, decisiveness all signal dominance. Never waver. Even in uncertainty, act as though the decision has already been sealed. The indecisive are forgotten. The decisive are followed, even hated, yet obeyed. That is the paradox of power. Resentment and respect often march together. In every circle, friendship, business, love, or the silent question echoes, who holds control here? Betrayal happened because somewhere control slipped from your hands. That era ends now. From this moment, you stop being the accommodating participant and step into the role of silent architect. Dominance is not noise. It is not reckless aggression. It is the steady presence that says, I cannot be dismissed. I cannot be manipulated. I cannot be destroyed. Relationships test boundaries. When they test yours, enforce them, calmly, coldly, without apology. The man who enforces his standards earns respect, even from those who resent him. Power is not merely competence. It is indispensability. The hierarchy belongs to those who cannot be replaced. Observe who truly pulls the strings. It is rarely the visible leader, but the shadow that shapes decisions, the hand that controls resources, the voice that guides perception. Study them, surpass them. People yearn for guidance even while they deny it. They crave the leader who absorbs their uncertainty and transforms it into direction. Be that figure. When others waver, you decide. When they panic, you stabilize. When they chatter, you remain silent, letting them expose their weaknesses. Dominance is not cruelty, it is precision. Punish only to reinforce, reward only to strengthen. And always leave the air heavy with inevitability. Impose them. That is mastery. That is control. Never forget, you are either molding the hierarchy or being molded by it. Neutrality does not exist. Betrayal will, but you will no longer crumble. The highest form of power is invisible influence, the ability to shape choices without appearing to will be the one setting the terms. Declare it now. I dictate the terms of power, before crowns, before treasures, before written codes and courts. There was one force that bound mankind, fear. And even now, in the modern age of steel and glass, it still reigns in silence. Fear is the shadow behind obedience, the pulse that sends soldiers into battle, the quiet weight that bends nations, the invisible leash that keeps hesitant men in line. No study of power, no mastery of strategy, no deep dive into dark psychology is complete without first bowing to the truth of fear. Both the terror you ignite in others and the trembling you hide within your own chest. Betrayal scars you because it rips open the fears you tried to bury. Fear of being left behind, fear of being humiliated, fear of losing what you thought was secure. That is why it burns so cruelly. But now your path shifts. You will no longer live, trembling at the edge of what if. You will not fear the storm. You will become the storm that others dread to face. Remember this. Men fear what they cannot name, what they cannot chain, what they cannot forecast. They quake before the one who will not flinch, the one who refuses to shatter. To wield fear like a blade, you must sharpen unpredictability. Never let your rhythm be memorized. When they expect a plea, withdraw. When they anticipate retreat, advance with fire. Where they expect rage, smile. Where they demand explanation, give them silence. This unsettles the feeble-hearted, and in their confusion they surrender. Next, recognize this truth. Boundaries are always tested, not out of hate but out of curiosity. Men probe to see if you bend. Betrayal happens when someone believes they can wound you without cost. That belief must be destroyed. Consequence is your language. Not loud, not desperate. Cold, absolute, relentless. Disrespect loses access. Lies erase trust. Betrayal earns exile. No spectacle, no tantrum. Only silence that feels like judgment itself. Fear does not arise from volume, it is born from certainty. Let others know with clarity that every trespass carries a price. Yet beware, fear without respect decays into rebellion. Power rots when it is built on terror alone. The true art lies in binding fear to respect. Respect is not demanded, it is cultivated. It grows from your composure, your discipline, your mastery of self. Men do not respect one who erupts like a child. They respect the figure who holds his fire, who remains unshaken, who moves like stone even in chaos. Fear keeps their distance. Respect draws their allegiance. Together they make you untouchable. But before you conquer the fears of others, you must dissect your own. Fear is ancient in your blood, it will never leave. It has stripped Robert of its teeth. Ask yourself, what am I truly afraid of? Rejection? Then seek it until it no longer pierces. Then strip away what is unnecessary until nothing holds you hostage. Humiliation? Then walk into rooms where laughter stings and learn to stand with steady breath. When you no longer run from these ghosts, no one can use them as weapons against you. And when no one can wound you with your own fears, you rise beyond breaking. Understand, control is not chains and whips, it is subtler, quieter. It is shaping choices before they even realize they are choosing. Human beings move for two reasons: to taste pleasure or to avoid pain. Make your presence a prize, make your absence a punishment. Align approval with desire, rejection with dread. If you balance these forces well, you won't need to command. Others will align themselves to your will. This is the essence of invisible power. Yet never forget, it begins with your presence. Your walk, your gaze, your stillness. These speak to the animal brain faster than words. A spine unbent, a gaze unwavering. A voice calm and measured, these signal dominance deeper than titles or crowns. Enter any space as though it is already yours, and you will feel the atmosphere shift. Betrayal may have bruised you, but fear, respect, and presence will raise you above the ruins. Those who doubted you will not admit their trembling, but they will hesitate, they will falter, they will bow in silence. That hesitation is your proof. That silence is your throne. That is power reclaimed. That is sovereignty reborn. Perception is the battlefield and information is the weapon. Human beings do not act on truth itself, but on what they believe to be true. If you command their sight, their hearing, and their understanding, you command their movements. Learn the art of concealment. Never hand out the full map. Share only fragments that serve your advantage. A half-truth, carefully placed, can guide minds toward the end you desire more effectively than any full confession. And sometimes silence speaks louder than entire speeches. Silence forces others to invent their own answers, and their imagination will often create a story far more powerful than the facts ever could. This is the first key. Direct not with noise, but with selective absence. The second law is desire's reflection. Every soul is propelled by cravings, status, approval, recognition, comfort, validation. Discover their hunger, then reflect it back like a mirror. Show them their dream hidden in your shadow. Do this and they will circle you willingly, believing you are the door to what they long for. This is not charity, it is calculation. When their sense of worth, their need for belonging, or their thirst for recognition becomes tied to you, they hand you the reins of their own behavior. Power is not taken by force. It is gifted when dependency is born. The third commandment is scarcity. That which is always present becomes invisible, but what is rare becomes irresistible. Make yourself less available. your presence. In love, resist the temptation to overshare or overgive. Leave spaces that ignite curiosity. In business, present your time, your skills, your wisdom as precious metals, not common stones. People fight hardest for what they believe they could lose. Scarcity creates hunger, and hunger gives birth to power. The fourth principle is the seed of thought. Confrontation breeds resistance. Demands ignite rebellion. But a suggestion, planted quietly, takes root in the mind and grows as if it was always theirs. That is the deepest level of influence, to make another believe the idea was their own. Use questions instead of commands. Use gestures instead of decrees. Whisper possibilities rather than shouting directions. The most willing follower is the one who believes he is walking his own path when in truth, you designed the road. The fifth pillar is consistency. Humans despise contradiction. Once they declare allegiance to an idea, a belief, or a promise, they bend reality to remain loyal to that choice. Secure even a small agreement from them, and they will chain themselves to it. Lead them gently into one step, then another, until they are bound not by your rope, but by their own need to remain consistent. By the time they recognize the design, they will already be deep inside it. And here lies the moral riddle. Some call this manipulation, others call it leadership. But words are shadows. The reality is this: either you sculpt the world or you are sculpted by it. Either you bend people or you are bent. Do not confuse strategy with cruelty. You can still be loyal, you can still be just, but once you've been betrayed, innocence is no longer a luxury. You must see life as the chessboard it is, and if you are to play, then play to win. To wield influence, you must also master the mask. People respond to perception, not essence. If they sense weakness, they will test you. If they smell desperation, they will exploit you. But if you carry the aura of rarity, strength, and calm mystery, they will shape themselves around you. Appearances are not shallow, they are weapons. Machiavelli himself counseled rulers to appear virtuous even when they were not. For what is seen is stronger than what is true. Reveal only the version of yourself that strengthens your hand. Another rule: detach. Emotional attachment is the leash that drags manipulators into ruin. Influence demands cold observation. Watch carefully, speak little, allow others to reveal their weaknesses, their vanities, their ambitions. Their words will betray them if you remain still. Do not rush to fill the silence. Let them expose themselves. The less you give of yourself, the more they invent about you. And the more they invent, the easier it is to guide them. The highest form of power is not forcing others but becoming the standard they unconsciously measure themselves against. When your presence radiates clarity, when your discipline stands like stone, when your composure does not crack, they will follow without you asking. They will admire you, envy you, resent you, but above all, they will submit to the gravity of your influence. Remember, manipulation is not about tricks. It is the science of human nature. To understand the primal drives of man and make yourself the orbit around which those drives revolve. The betrayed soul who rebuilds himself through mastery of influence is not cruel. He is untouchable. He no longer begs for affection or screams for loyalty. He commands them effortlessly. Humanity is predictable, programmable, pliable. Use this knowledge with precision and restraint. For when those who once deceived you meet you again, they will not find the same man. They will find a strategist veiled in silence, a figure too powerful to resist, a presence they cannot ignore. And if you truly grasp this, whisper it into the void. I bend reality. Strength without structure is fragile. Fear without grounding is empty. When betrayal crushed you, it wasn't the act itself that destroyed you. It was that your foundation had cracks. You let your worth rest in the hands of others. You allowed your stability to depend on fleeting validation, on applause that could vanish in a moment. That is why their actions pierced you so deeply. But imagine transforming yourself into a citadel, an unbreachable stronghold. In that form, no treachery, no storm, no enemy could bring you down. The citadel mindset is the ultimate defense and the ultimate form of power. It is the sovereignty of the self. It is becoming something that cannot be invaded, manipulated, or dismantled. That is where invincibility is born. But understand this clearly. A citadel is not raised upon bricks of vanity or arrogance. Arrogance shatters like glass. True strength is forged through discipline, and discipline is unyielding steel. Every day is an act of construction. Every action is a stone laid in the wall. Train your body not for the mirror, but for resilience. Push yourself into discomfort, because the one who conquers his body commands his mind. While others bend under exhaustion, you will remain upright. Where others tremble before pain, you will claim it as an ally. Pain ceases to be punishment. It becomes proof. It becomes the hammer that hardens the walls of your fortress. Next comes solitude. Most men flee from silence because silence unmasks them. They drown themselves in noise and validation, in endless chatter, anything to avoid facing their own reflection. But you must not run. You must lean into solitude until it ceases to feel like exile and begins to feel like sanctuary. In solitude, thoughts sharpen. In solitude, illusions fall away. In solitude, you strip off what is unnecessary and discover what is real. The man who is whole within himself cannot be shaken by loneliness. He does not need the crowd needs him. Then comes the code. A citadel without principles is rubble waiting for collapse. Your code must be unyielding, precise, and clear. Who you are,